Good morning, students. So right now we are in the Vadhwani Electronics Lab where the experiments are held up to second year. So what you are seeing right now are the tables in the Vadhwani Electronics Lab. So every kind of row has about 4 tables, 2 on each side, and each table can take 2 students. So this lab can take care of about 75 to 80 students. So this is where you will be working when you come back. So we will look forward to you coming here, and you can see each table you are able to see that has a power supply, it has a DSO, it has a function generator and also a PC. In case there are some experiments, you may have to enter the data or things like that, or you may have to access a data sheet. So this is where all experiments are held up to second year. And in the next experiment I will show you the lab which you would be doing experiments in the third year. And I also want to show you one place where you will be taking the components. Right now what you are seeing here is the component tray. So this is where you would come and take a component. So you can see on the left side all the capacitors, different values of capacitors, and towards the right side you can see all the digital ICs here, and also op-amps are there. And on this right side tray you can see different values of resistors being used, and also Zener diode, LEDs. So these 2 component trays would cover almost all the different types of components you would be using in the lab. And again, most important, you need wires for connecting circuits. So we have a full tray, all different types of wires, so of different colors, so that to make your wiring simple, you can use that. So this is where you have to come and pick it up, just to give you a introduction to what you really do. Now I want to show you something else. So what we have here is what is called a CPLD, or complex programmable logic device. Now right now you are studying digital electronics, and the experiment we are going to do today will be using logic gates. Now in actual practice, when you go to an industry or somewhere, these things are not used today. What is used is what we have here. This is a CPLD can be programmed. So you can think of this particular board as a hardware which can be programmed. So later in second year you will be using it, and you will also be learning what is called a hardware description language. So this is just to give you a flavor of what digital electronics is all about. I want to introduce you to the team members who are involved with not only this experiment, even the previous experiment. So first of all, this is Jensen Joseph. He's a PhD student, and he is one of your TAs. Some of you already met him last Thursday. So right now he is this particular circuit which we are going to test today. He is the one who wired all this. So you can see how neatly he has wired. He does all the experiments. We decide, and he does all the wiring and all the testing and all that he does. Next I want to introduce you to Amit Shetty, and he is one of the well staff, and he is a very important member of the staff, and you would see him in every year, second year, third year, all the time you see him. So 3 of us together, myself, Jensen and Amit together, we do all the experiments too. So these are the team members. What you are seeing is the beautiful view you would see when you sit in the well lab. So you will never get bored. And we can see these beautiful the trees, they are all green. And we are IIT Bombay, we are very fortunate, because right inside Bombay it's impossible to get a place like this. And I am able to see some beautiful birds outside. Some of these birds you will never see in Bombay. So this is the beauty of being here in IIT Bombay. So it's wonderful. I want to introduce you to another important member of our team. This is Anil Gawai, and sometimes in second year and definitely in third year, when you do the electronic design lab, when you will be buying components, you will have to give your bills to Anil Gawai for getting it reimbursed. But right now, he is doing one of the most important part of this task. This video is actually prepared by him. So this is his hobby. Not only accounting, he also does video editing and is an expert. So our special thanks to the whole team for making all this possible. So we have on the extreme side Amit, Jensen and Anil Gawai. So all the best. Yeah, good. So we will start our experiments now. So I want to give an introduction to our experiment. So this is on combinatorial circuits. Now we will have two parts. We will do the first part today. Now before that, let me give you some idea about digital ICs. Historically, always engineers wanted to have a digital logic. So initially they used what are called diode transistor logic, which are obsolete now. And then resistor transistor technology was or logic was actually used, which is not much in use today except BJT inverter. But what is actually used most commonly, which you will also be using, is what is called transistor logic, which is or TTL. This is the most popular, and this was invented in the 60s, initially by TRW. But it became very popular when Texas Instruments took it up, and today's the 74 series all came because of the efforts by Texas Instruments. Now there are many families in TTL or transistor logic. One is standard TTL. Now standard TTL was the one which Texas Instruments started in the 60s. This can work up to about 20 megahertz, and which was supposed to be a very high frequency in the 60s and the 70s. 20 megahertz was quite high. But then because of the power requirements and speed, other technologies came. We will talk about them later. But today, what is most popular is what is called a low power Schottky TTL or LSTTL, and this can work up to 30 megahertz. So therefore, all the experiments which you do in the lab, you can manage with this LSTTL, and which is used today extensively. Standard TTL is obsolete today. You will not be able to buy it from the market today, but LSTTL is available. Another popular family, sub-family, let's say, is what is called high-speed CMOS. Mind you, the CMOS technology matured only in the 80s and in the 90s. So this HC series are CMOS logic, but they have made it compatible to TTL families. So the other families, which we will talk some other time, are what are called STTL or Schottky TTL, Fast TTL, which stands for Fairchild Advanced Schottky Technology TTL, Advanced Schottky TTL, and ALS or Advanced Low Power Schottky TTL. We will talk about them some other time. Now what you see here is the circuit diagram of a standard TTL 7400 2-input NAND gate. Since we did not study BJT so far, we will not worry about it. But what is important to notice here is there are two inputs here, A and B. And you can see there are two diodes put there. This is put so that in case by mistake you connect any negative voltage, these diodes will clamp it to minus 0.7, and it will not go beyond that. But mind you, TTL is very important to notice that TTL power supply, we call it VCC. Why VCC? That C stands because it's connected to the collector. So VCC is 5 volts, and this has to be kept very precisely within 4.75 to maximum of 5.25. If we exceed it, the IC can go bad. So TTL became very popular because of its speed, and we would do some kind of testing of high speed circuits in the next experiment. So right now what I want to show you is something. When output is high, what happens is this particular transistor Q3 will be off, and the current will be supplied to the next logic or whatever gate. So current will flow out, or which is what is called a sourcing current. But when the output is 0, what happens is you have a sinking current coming from outside flowing into this Q3. So these are the two cases for which the that's the condition. So that in that particular case your Q4 will be off and the Q3 will be in saturation. So that's the let's say a very gist of TTL gate. Now quickly let's look at the TTL specifications, and as I told you already, the VCC or the supply voltage has to be within 4.75 and 5.25. Very important. If you exceed it, the IC can go bad. Now there are some terminologies which are used here which you will slowly get used to. One is what is called VOH or output high level. Now that is specified by an inequality. Mind you, now we are talking about digital. So therefore we are talking about levels, not exact values. So the standard specification, TTL specification says when output is high, it will always be greater than 2.4 volts. Typically it will be the order of about 3.5 volts, typically. VOL stands for output low level, that the specification says will always be less than 0.4 volts. Now look at the next line, which are the input specifications, VIH and VIL. VIH stands for the input high level. Now TTL would require voltages greater than 2 volts up to the maximum of 5 volts, and then it will consider it as high. So that's why it's an inequality. Anything greater than 2 is taken as high. VIL, anything less than 0.8 is taken as 0 or logical low or 0. Now the next two are the current specifications. Now IOH stands for the current, which I just showed you, the kind of sourcing current is for a standard TTL is 400 microamps, and the IOL or the sinking current is 16 milliamps. Coming to the input, a TTL standard TTL input would take, one input will take 40 microamps and when it's high. So that stands for IIH. When the input logic level is high, it will take 40 microamps. That will flow into the transistor. Now IIL stands for the input low level current. So when the input is low, this transistor would push 1.6 milliamps into the output of the previous gate if it's coming from an output. Now therefore, just by looking at the ratio, you can see that what is called fan out, one standard TTL gate can drive 10 outputs. 16 divided by 1.6 or 40 divided by 400 divided by 40 gives you 10. So you would see that there is an extremely well designed IC, and that's why it's very popular. Now there is another terminology which is very commonly used, which is what is called noise margin. You might have wondered why VOH is greater than 2.4 but VIH can be up to 2 volts. Why? So therefore there is what is called noise margin, which is defined as VOH minus VIH, which is 0.4 volts. Similarly, when the lower level or when the logic 0 or logic when it's low, you have the noise margin is defined as VOL minus VIL, the modulus, which is again 0.4. What is this noise margin? So the output, even though it's 2.4, when it's connected to the next line, it goes through a wire. That wire might pick up noise as it goes. Now it can take as much as 0.4 volts noise. It can come down as much as 0.4 volt. So think of a scenario where it's affected by noise, and the kind of noise it can tolerate is 0.4 volts. Now why are these specifications important? Let me tell you a few very important things when you do wiring. When you come back to the campus, you would be doing a lot of this wiring in second year, third year also, and maybe in your BTech and your dual degree projects also. So it's very important to remember some of these things. One very important thing, just now we saw the noise margin of a TTL gate or a TTL IC is very low, 0.4 volts. Now if you compare this CMOS technology, you would see that CMOS technology allows VCC by 2. So for example, if your VCC for a CMOS gate is 5 volts, you can have noise margin is 2.5 volts, it's very high, but TTL is very low. Therefore, you need to keep your wires short. Now as per the specifications, you are supposed to keep your wire length less than about 15 centimeters. So careful, you should not use long wires. Now the other important thing is, very interesting thing to notice here is, you would have noticed that in the specifications, input voltages between 0.8 volt and 2 volts is not allowed or not even specified. Why? If you apply any voltage between 0.8 and 2 volts, output will be unpredictable. Why is therefore it is very important that you never leave TTL inputs open. But actually what will happen is, most of the time if you leave a TTL input open, any unconnected input TTL generally, let me use the word generally, will take it as high, but it can change. Why? Because since it is open, it will pick up, it can pick up noise, and then the output can change. Therefore never ever leave an input open. If it is unused, you want to connect it to a logical high, connect it to a logical high, or depending on whatever logic you are using. If it is logic 0, depending on whatever logic you need, but never leave it open. Now another common tendency which is wrong is to, when for logical high, the easiest thing to do is to connect the unused input to VCC, but never do that. Why? Because that goes to a transistor, and that particular transistor will get reverse bias. Any spikes coming on the line, which can happen, again noise get picked up, that input transistor can go bad. So therefore the correct practice is to put a resistor, typically in the order of a few kilo ohms. So we'll do that in our experiment. We'll show you what resistor values we have used. So this is some kind of wiring instructions which you need to do. So now let's talk about the TTL 74 series or 74XX. Now TTL, that XX can go anywhere from 00 all the way to 400 plus. So the entire series has been specified by the industry, and almost any digital logic you can think about is covered in this particular series. Gates, multiplexers, demultiplexers, flip-flops, counters, shift registers, etc., etc. Almost everything you need is covered. We will be using in this particular experiment 7408, which is a quad 2-input AND IC consisting of AND gates, 7432 quad 2-input OR gates, 7404 hex inverter, 7486 quad XOR gates. Now it's very interesting that you see that within one IC you get only one type of gate, AND gate or OR gate or inverter or XOR gate. So therefore when you do a Karnaugh map minimization and when you implement a circuit, unfortunately you might have minimized the circuit, but if you have an AND and an OR, then you need two ICs. So therefore what you learned in the class, Professor BGF talked to you about multiplexers. So you will see in the next experiment, we will see how when you use multiplexers, the IC count or the chip count becomes less. So that's why multiplexers are used for implementing digital logic. Now another important thing is you need to check outputs of the digital circuit. Now because it's a digital circuit, you don't test the voltage, because it will be very confusing if you do that, and too often you might have multiple outputs. So therefore it's best to use a logic probe. So what we would do in the lab today, we will show you, is we will use a simple logic probe using a NOT gate and an LED. So I am showing you the circuit diagram of the logic probe circuit. So what you see here is a NOT gate. Now let's say that the input is high. So what will happen? The output is low. And I showed you from the TTL diagram that when output is low, the particular transistor on the lower end, that goes into saturation and it accepts sinking current. So what is happening is, now a current can now flow from VCC through the LED, through the resistor into the transistor, or a current will flow into the IC. So therefore, and we saw that it can be as high as 16 milliamps. So typically you choose this resistor in such a way that the current is typically around 5 milliamps, and you know that LED voltage drop, we saw that in the last experiment, is typically the order of about 2 volt. So you can design this and choose a resistor, appropriate resistor. So this is what we would use. When your logic input is 0, what would happen is output will be high, and that would be, let's say, typically around say 3 volts or 3.5 volts, what will happen is, in that scenario, this LED cannot glow. Why? Because for LED to glow, current has to flow in this direction, and that is not possible because in this particular case that is not possible. Therefore, LED will not glow. So therefore, this is a simple circuit and an excellent circuit. So the way we would do is, whenever LED is on, you can think of the state as 1 or high. When LED is off, we will call it a low or a state 0. So this is what we would do. Now we would be testing different gates. The first gate we will be testing will be an AND gate. So you can see there are 4 AND gates inside this gate, this particular IC. Now again, another thing you would notice here is, most of the time, let's say almost 80% of the time, the designers, manufacturers of the IC have done in such a way that the VCC is at pin number 7 and the ground is at pin number 7 and VCC at pin number 14. So this is a 14 pin IC, but you also will be using in the next lab 16 pin IC. If it is a 16 pin IC, most of the time pin number 8 will be ground and 16 will be VCC. But you would also find other ICs we will see in the next class, next experiment we will see, they would provide this VCC and ground in the middle. But otherwise, most of the time, this is the way it's done. Now you can see that there are 4 AND gates inside. So we will be testing these gates. We will test one of this gate right now. So I want to show you the circuit diagram. First of all, I want to show you the logic probe. So we said that our logic probe uses a NOT gate. So what I have, these yellow wires here, there are 2 wires here, and both of them are logic probe. So the one which is connected here, that's right now connected to ground. Therefore, this particular LED is off. This logic probe, as I said, in a TTL generally, if you leave an input open, it will be taken as high. You can see this LED glowing, so equivalent to the state being high. Now, what we have is, we have 2 switches here. These 2 switches are essentially giving you whatever inputs you want. So in all our experiments today, we will be needing 2 inputs. So this will be used. Right now they are connected to ground here. So therefore the logic is 0. So what I am going to do, you can see that the first gate which we are going to study is an AND gate. So what is done is, both these inputs are connected to the pin number 1 and pin number 2 of the AND gate. So right now inputs are both 0. So therefore you can see that when I connect it, the LED will go off. So you can see that now when I connected, the LED is gone off. Now let's see another important thing. I am also measuring the voltage at the output of this particular gate, and what you are seeing is the output is minus 0.02, which is just 0, actually 0. And note the power supply we have connected as exactly 5 volts. Okay, so but it can go as low as 4.75, it can be as high as 5.25. So you need to adjust it. In the lab, you can adjust it from anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5, but it's important that you keep it nominally around 5 volts. Now the other thing I want to show you, so right now both the inputs are 0. Now I am now making one of the inputs high. So these 2 LEDs here show you the state of the inputs here. So right now we have 0, 1, and the output is still 0 because it's an AND function. Now let me make both the inputs 1. So both the inputs are 1. Now you can see this LED has grown. So that way you see that the AND function is working. Now look at the output we are able to get at the output of the AND gate. The output of the AND gate voltage is 4.92, and this is quite high, which is typically you will not get in a standard TTL. But this particular gate which we are using here, we have a variety of families, TTL families in the lab. This particular family is what is called an AC family, which is actually a CMOS IC, but designed in such a way that the output levels are same as TTL. So you can see that In a CMOS, the advantage of CMOS is the output levels would be either VCC or ground, and you saw that when it was 0, it was almost 0. Now also you see 4.92, output is almost VCC. So this is because this is a particular CMOS gate. So we have tested now the AND gate. Now what I want to do is, we will now go to the next gate, which is a OR gate. Now OR gate also, the orientation of the gates is very similar. You have a quad, there are 4 of them, and you can see this is also a 14 pin IC. Therefore ground is at pin number 7, and VCC, which is 5 volts, is at pin number 14. And so let's study this particular one. So what I want to do now, first of all, let me make both the inputs 0, and let me change the wires. I will connect now one of the wires to the input 1 and the other wire to the other input. So both the inputs are connected now. So right now both the inputs are 0, so output will be 0. My LED, probe LED, is showing that it is 0. Now what I want to do is, I will make one of the inputs 1, and you can see that immediately the output has gone to 1. So so this is something interesting you see here. So I also want to show you what will be the output of the gate when output is high, and you can see that in this particular case, the this OR gate which we are using here is a low power Schottky, and you can see that the voltage is 4, and in digital, as we said, anything greater than 2.4 is taken as high. So this is very much okay, but this voltage changes will be there depending on the technology. So one of the inputs high, output is high. Now let me make the second one high, also output is high, and only when both of them are made 0, it will go to 0. And you see the output here is not 0, and we know that as per TTL specifications, it can be as high as 0.4 volts, but right now is 0.1 volt. So you can see between technologies there will be a difference here. Next, let's look at NOT gate. So in a NOT gate, this particular IC has 6 NOT gates inside, and so you can see pin number 1 will be input, pin number 2 is output, and so on. So pin number 1 input, all these Y's correspond to outputs, all these A's correspond to inputs. So you can see there are 6, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, all are so different gates here, and all this Y, 1Y, 2Y, and so on, they are the different outputs here. So let's test the 7404 hex inverter. So what I am going to do is, I would connect now one of the inputs to the input here. So this is now, input is connected to 0 now. So let me take the output. So since input is 0, you can see that the output is high, and input is 0, output is high. So it is working as a inverter. Now this particular one is also another different family. So you can see the voltage output is last time we got 4 volts, and for LSTTL the previous case AC we got 4.9, this is 4.3, and this also are, so this voltages can change, and that's okay within specifications. Now let's test it for the other case, when input is high. So we know that when the input is high, you can see that this particular probe has gone, it is turned off, the LED is turned off, and you can see the output voltage is 0.15. Again, it's within specifications, it can go as high as 0.4 volt. So it's within the specifications. So this is something you should notice here. In digital, when you talk about gates here, the voltages are within a range which is allowed there. Now the next gate we have is an XOR gate, which we will be using for the half adder. So let's test the XOR gates. So what I am going to do is, I am connecting, again XOR is also a quad XOR, there are 4, and the orientation is exactly similar to what we did earlier also. There are 4, so pin number 1 and 2 are inputs for the one of the gates, and the 3 is output, and so on. So very similar to 2 input gates, whether it's OR gate or AND gate or XOR gate, all of them have very similar orientation. Now what I have done here is I have connected the output of the XOR gate to the logic probe as earlier, and let me connect the inputs here now. So let me connect one input I connected, let me connect the second input, and let's see what will happen. Now let me first of all make both of them 0. So we know that an XOR gate and an OR gate, the difference is only in one case when both the inputs are 1. So right now both are 0. So this will be very similar to an OR gate. So let me now measure let me make one of the inputs high. You can see that the output has gone high. Okay, so that's perfectly fine. Let me make this 0, and let me make the other one high, and that time also same. Now let me make both 1, and that is the case which distinguishes between an OR gate and an XOR gate. When both are high, which you can see that both these LEDs are glowing, showing you the input condition, the output is 0. So this verifies the an XOR gate. Now what we want to do is we want to test a half adder. So what we have here is a half adder. As we know, half adder has two inputs, X and Y, and it has two outputs. One output is S or sum, and the other output is carry. And we know that the sum output is nothing but the exclusive OR of X and Y, and the carry output is an AND of X and Y. So that's what we have here. So we have implemented that, the half adder here, using 7486, and we have used a AND gate. So what I want to do now is, this time we need to use both the probes here. So what I am going to do is, let me connect the probe, let me connect this particular probe to the carry output, and the other probe let me connect to the sum output, and let me then connect the inputs properly. So let me connect the inputs properly. So what I have done here is, now pin number 1 and pin number 2 I have connected to the inputs here. Now let's test it. Let's test the truth table of the half adder. So what let me first again explain to you. So what have I done here? Yeah, here are my two input. Let me first of all make both of them 0. So here are my two inputs here. Right now both of them are 0, and they are connected to an XOR gate and also to an AND gate. So AND gate will give me the carry output, and the XOR gate will give me the sum output. Right now both are 0, and you can see that both the LED, both the probes are 0, which is correct. Now what I want to do is, let me make one of the inputs high. One of the inputs high, and now we know that sum will be 1, which is right now seen here, but carry will be 0. You are able to see that. Now let me make this input 0, and let me make the other one 1. Again we see the same thing. Now the last case, when both are 1, what we should get is, we should get carry, and what we should get is carry, and your sum should be 0. So you are able to see that this time, just only for this case, you get the carry here, and the sum is 0. So this verifies the half adder circuit, and that is the end of this particular experiment. And we will see implementation using a full adder, because if you see that if you implement a full adder using gates like this, you would see it will be quite exhaustive. So what we will do is, we will, in the next experiment, we will implement a full adder using gates like this. We will also implement full adder using a multiplexer, so that we can see the difference. You will see the advantage of using a multiplexer. Yeah. So thank you for listening.